everybody's here, and there's a lot of conversation. So when we turn the mics off, it goes like 10. So we're gonna bring that back to the air, and we'll pick up where we left off with childhood trauma, and we go straight to Dr. Richardson after that. No, we're going to talk about something else that I heard. Then we're going to come to you about what you were just saying off air. So childhood trauma and how so many people have grown up and grown from being children with trauma to adults who are still carrying those same bags of trauma and continuing to pack other traumatic experiences in those same bags. Like, how does that go? Like, why nobody is able to unpack if they still have things that they hadn't dealt with? It's very rare that people put bags down and they don't have anywhere to put them. They don't know what to do with them. Doctor.
There is a physical evidence-based part of this. If a kid was traumatized as a child, or there's actually brain changes. You can see that they're more likely to be depressed, more likely to be anxious, almost like a PTSD, post-traumatic stress. So there is evidence-based, science evidence, that's behind that. Another thing I like to say is that I think we do have to be very honest and not judgmental. Because when they come in with a trauma or something that's happened, often we get some therapists and counselors and doctors will get judgmental about it. And put them in a category or a bag. So I do want to stress that non-judgmental, transparent, share yourself, your story, particularly in the African American community, we do have stories that we can tell.
Okay.
I'm all about the stories.
Yep, narrative.
Look
at that. Y'all be studying so hard. I know. Ask me. We can have a quiz right now. Then y'all can help me do my homework.
And then just to kind of piggyback off of what Dr.
Come on, bring it to the mic.
Is that we can use our stories, our backgrounds, and our experiences to relate to our clients. Because if we have some of those similar backgrounds and experiences, we can better understand them, and we can build that rapport and build those therapeutic relationships with our clients, because they can say, okay, well, I'm not the only person that's been through this, or I'm not the only person that's currently going through this, or that whatever experiences. And because I'm not the only one, I have a space where I feel safe, where I can share my experiences and not feel judged because somebody else actually understands what I'm going through.
That's a very good point. So childhood trauma, the thing about it is that it can manifest itself from in different children in different ways. So my question is to you ladies and gentlemen, what do you guys utilize to prevent from getting in the way of treating a symptom more so than the real root cause? Because see, as a child, I might act out totally different from the same traumatic experience, So what do you guys do, or what do you say, or what are some techniques to really make sure you're not treating the symptom instead of the root cause?
I think to not treat the symptoms, you got to start by asking the right questions. Once you start asking the right questions, you're going to get beyond that. Okay, well, this is just a behavior that this kid is having. You ask the questions and find out, okay, well, when did this start? What are some of the things that have occurred since this began? But once you ask those questions, it's no longer going to be just about the behaviors. You're going to get down to the root cause. And once you get to the root cause, at that point, you can then start making strides to figure out, okay, well, how do we work towards resolving whatever the problem or the issue is, or how do we work towards addressing it and then moving forward from it? Wonderful. Because you got to ask the right questions.
Asking the right questions, knowing how to ask those questions, knowing how to have a conversation. That was the main thing that pulled me into therapy, is that, okay, well, you know how to talk to people. This is what you do for a living. Why not fuse the two? Why not fuse the two, have the conversations, make people feel comfortable? And it's not making them feel comfortable. It's just that thing that, we're going to make you feel comfortable. We're going to have this conversation. I'm going to take these notes, and we're going to work through these issues. That's what we're going to do. Just really easy.
I just want to stress play therapy is very important.
Love it. Love it.
Toys, because kids don't just sit on the couch and talk to you. Through their play, you will see the trauma.
And look, anybody can facilitate play therapy. Parents can do that and not even know that's what they're doing. Watch your child play. Listen to what they say. Give them toys that will help them tell you stories.
You talk about that. I have an example of a teenager I worked with some years ago who was very closed, wouldn't open. Happened to have a PS3 in the office, and he loved playing Madden. But it was through that playing Madden and having conversations about football, he was able to open up. But expecting a teenager to come in, just sit down on the couch, and then talk about whatever's going on, it's not going to happen. You have to find some kind of way.
That's a good point.
Absolutely. Let's keep it moving. There is a rapper that said that ADHD was not a thing. He said he basically made it an acronym and said that no, he's not a rapper. That's not who said that. That was the other deep brother. Sorry. This one right here is a doctor that people were discrediting his doctorate degrees. I'm not gonna call any names, but this is in the system. I interviewed this guy a couple of months ago, maybe a year or so ago.
Yeah.
And he said that ADHD was not a real thing. It stands for something without a dad.
Ain't no dad at home or something
Ain't no
at
dad at
home.
home. Okay. All right. So, first question, clinicians: is ADHD real?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people got ADHD mixed up with a learning disability. It's not a learning disability. It's the inability to focus for long periods of time. And I mean, that could happen to
Like, what
anybody.
do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, you get too tired, you can lose your focus. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily get a diagnosis, but it's just attention deficit. The inability to sit
There's a
there for
deficit
long,
of attention.
there's
Yes.
a period.
Basic.
And I think it's just, I don't know what ain't no daddy at home. I mean,
That's
that's
what he
just
said.
almost just.
Because how would you explain it for
That's what he
children that actually have
said.
dads?
Come to the mic, Bree.
I said, well, how would you actually explain ADHD for kids who do have dads at home? You
Right.
still see those same behaviors.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I
to
was
say
like,
that
bro.
it's not real, I think it kind of actually negates that experience for that kid. That, like she said, that inability to sit still for 15 or 20 minutes, or to just stay focused and concentrate on what I'm doing in this moment. I may have a dad at home, so how else do you explain it?
Right.
And
My dad may have ADHD. Don't do that.
and I think once we begin to see that the brain, just like anything else in your body, can be sick, then you will stop making
There
the
we go.
statements of, oh, you're just sad, you need to pull yourself together, that ain't no depression, or, oh, your anxiety is not real, girl, you just stressed. So we minimize a lot of things, and that's where all of that comes from. It ain't no ADHD, you just need to whip them a little bit more, right?
Oh, okay.
Right, and then they're going to have some other issues
Right.
behind it. But if we look at it like that, just know that your brain can be sick too.
Gotcha. Really quickly, abuse and neglect. How are we? Why are we? How are we? What are we not doing to protect our children? Abuse and neglect kind of opens the door for mental issues. What are we not doing, and why do we not protect our children the way that we should?
One thing I think I touched on it earlier, that we've moved away from this concept of it takes a village, where you know, someone may see something going on and they're a little afraid to say something because, you know, they don't want to stick out or fear that that parent may lash out at them for intervening. But if we get back to that model, you know, I mentioned earlier during the break, you know, when I did something, my neighbor whooped me, the next door neighbor,
Yeah, your
him
butt was
whooped me,
soft.
then they took me to my grandfather, and he got a little bit too.
Yeah.
You know, so it took a village, and it still does. It still does. If we can move back to that concept of people helping people, not just in at work, but in the community, at home, and in raising our kids. If you know, someone sees my daughter, my child, out doing something, I would hope that they would say something to me to let me know, and I think that's really important.
Let's flip it. Then we're going to move to women. When you talk about somebody helping you or the village raising the child, when the village sees something that a parent is doing to a child or that a guardian is doing to a child, the village should say something to somebody. In our field, it's called being a mandatory reporter. If I see some scars or I see some abuse happening, yeah, I'm gonna mandatorily report that. I'm gonna have to let somebody know that that's happening. And we don't do that. We'll see things wrong and just kind of say, "Girl, did you see so and so? Did you see that child? Did you hear how she was talking to him? Why didn't you tell the right people that could do something about it?" We don't do that. So yeah, village. I'm gonna need y'all to step your game up, Dr. Richardson. So talking about women's mental health and your organization, that's your focus. So when I was thinking about who we could bring into the room, different profession, well, same profession, but different areas of interest, yours is women,
Yes.
black women.
Yes, focusing specifically on black women. And one of the things I was sharing is how we even came up with the name.
Mm-hmm.
In 2014, we lost 3 notable black women in the media to suicide. One of them was Karen Washington, who was the founder of For Color Girls, where she talked about her own experiences with depression and anxiety.
Right. She
We lost
actually
her.
talked about it, and
she shared
still,
those, and we still lost
Yeah.
her. One was Simone Battle, so I don't know if anyone remembers her off of the X Factor. She was a singer. She didn't win, but you know, a lot of individuals that come on those shows and don't win, they still go on to be successful. So she was working on her music, working on a CD, working within a group, and we lost her to suicide. And then TT Branch. who you remember her with the Miss Jessie's hair. Her and her sister founded Miss Jessie's hair product, and we lost her to suicide, and that was all in 2014. And the thing that stood out to me with all three of them was that they were all college educated, all successful. You know, Miss T.T. Branch, millionaire, right? So success was not covering or you know, supplementing for whatever kind of mental distress they were managing. So this idea of martyrdom in Black feminist thought is this idea that we will sacrifice ourselves to keep up a mask. We will sacrifice ourselves and kill ourselves to maintain this facade that we're doing well. We are strong Black women. We can handle it all. We can do it all. We don't need any assistance. We can go forward and be successful and carry the weight of our communities on our shoulders. But at the same time, we're killing ourselves in the process. So that's really where the name came from. No More Martyrs is that at the end of one of the articles that I read about Karen is that's what they said. They said she'll always be remembered as a martyr because she was working in mental health advocacy, but we don't need any more. And I was like, yeah, we don't. We do not need any more martyrs. We need to share our stories. And once women started to share, more women started to come forward and more individuals started to talk about their own struggles. So I feel like what we were talking about before during the break is like removing that mask and being very transparent. It's hard to do that though in a culture of busyness. We're always being forced to stay on the go and keep going and keep moving. And it really takes time to sit back and say, no, I need to take care of myself and share more of myself.
That is major. And we know that women carry the bulk of everything. And you talk about how we step out and we're advocates. See Her Empowered. She is a nonprofit that allows women to be empowered to do whatever it is they need to do, to talk about depression, to talk to girls about issues of mental health. That's applaudable. That's everything that we need to talk about. And because we know that women carry these things back into their households, to their men, to their children, we start there. So starting there, depression, PMS, postpartum, emotional creatures we are. How do we sometimes get that mixed up with mental illness? Like sometimes it's just natural. These are things that happen. I might be a little moody, Thursday, but then Friday, like I might be tearing the house up. Something may be wrong with that. Why are we not having that conversation?
I read an article once that said, and this was true, and this was research that was done by, a Black mental health professional that said depression in Black women can come off as hyper-irritability, right? Hyper-irritability is that angry Black woman, that sassy chick that's got an attitude. And what I have typically found is that when you encounter someone like that, if you literally just take the time and have a conversation and don't take it personally, I have been cussed out. It's okay. What's going on, though? I have been told that I can go here and go there, and it's fine, but what's going on? And when you really don't respond to that behavior and say, okay, that's fine, but what's going on with you? After a while, people will recognize that you really are trying to figure out what's going on and that you care. And once they see that you care, they'll share and they'll open up and they'll let you know what's going on. I interacted with this one university student who was fighting people. At the university level, they'll kick you out and you may get arrested. But when you sat down and talked to her, she had trauma from the time she was a child all the way to university, had never addressed it. Sexual abuse by male and female relatives, miscarriage that she never told anyone about, drug abuse, all different types of things. And no one took the time to just sit and talk to her. All they saw is that she was fighting. We about to put her out. Right. But no, that's something else. Like, let's figure out what's causing her to do that.
Got a comment reminded me of someone else that suicided by the name of Phyllis Hyman. She was a singer who made a lot of love songs and talked about these relationships. And still, we lost her to suicide as well. So just thinking about how people are talking about it, but they're not really working, is something that's missing, that maybe they need to be talking to these therapists. And pastors, absolutely, Destiny. And then pastors have to be equipped as well, so everybody needs to get some of this. And it's out there, like, you hate to say that what we pay for, like the degrees and stuff, and all the certificates and certifications, that you can go on YouTube and find out a whole lot. You can buy the books at the bookstore. Okay. So men's mental health. When it comes to men and mental health, that's just like men in regular health. They don't be talking about nothing. They ain't going nowhere. So let's talk about it tonight. And we have a couple of more topics to hit, and we got about 4 more minutes. So let's do it.
Real quick, men's mental health, I still think, also stems from the original trauma. And I'm a big advocate that if you don't go back further enough, you won't see the cause of a lot. And men were not allowed, particularly African-American men, were not allowed to be men.
Right.
And we have a historical nature of that. And I think because of that, you're seeing a lot of that come into fruition now. Frances Welsing, the late Dr. Frances Welsing, in her book, talks a lot about racism, white supremacy, and how that was in place and there's no accident of what we're seeing now.
Gotcha.
And you start to see a lot of the trauma and how that's acted out. And again, I trained at a Jewish hospital. They would bring in almost every month in grand rounds someone that survived the Holocaust. And we would listen to their story. And they would have the tattoo and that sort of thing, being in the ovens or, in line for that. And so what I would see from that was that they never forgot telling that story. And we don't like to talk about that story. And I've had many people that will clam up in the office when I bring back, well, tell me about your grandmother or what was going on there. So I think we got to start talking about that, and particularly with men. We don't like to talk about what had happened to us. And a lot of trauma is deep inside of us that we don't talk about.
Okay. John, I'm going to let you add something real quick.
Well, when you talk about mental health, and you can't say the word of mental health and expect men to come in. It's, they're, for them, it's like, I don't know, it's sort of an ego thing, because they're brought up, you deal with it, you be a man, you suck it up, you don't cry. The Lord made tears for a reason, and it's very cathartic to cry. But for a lot of men, oftentimes, the only time I would see a man in therapy is because they were adjudicated for domestic violence or anger management or substance abuse, and they're mandated to come to treatment. Far and wide, you see more women coming into treatment than you do men. But I think with men, it's trying to, and Dr. Nelson and I are starting an initiative, stop the stigma and address the stress.
All right, then. Eric Hall, he just answered your comment. Well, Eric made a comment that just said everything that you said. So what you just said, Eric, is actually an initiative. That's what's up.
And we'll probably be kicking this off in September sometime, but we want to take it to the community and bring individuals out to talk with professionals that look like them and to address some of the issues that men deal with.
All right, then. So, look, when you put men and women together, we have a segment here on Vital called Dating, Mating, and Relating that allows me to get really deep. I really go into the textbooks. But we have professionals in studio today that can help facilitate that conversation and put all of this together. So we just studied borderline personality disorder and how that goes with relationships. And a lot of people will say, man, ain't nothing wrong with me. I ain't got no disorder. I just don't like you like that. And that's not true always. A lot of times people can't relate. Dating, mating, and relating a lot of times can't happen because of trauma and personal mental issues, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about it. Unable to relate, and then that also can lead to domestic violence. It can lead to divorce. Why you smiling, y'all?
Oh, I'm just
got that smirk like woo, don't do it. Gotta do it. Gotta go here. Domestic violence, breakups, all types of issues in relationships happen because of mental wellness and illness. So like if I'm well mentally and my mate is not well, they're ill mentally, it's not gonna work, right? So let's talk about that. How this happens, why people, like I know a thing for me is where I say I don't want to date any more cases. I want to date a mate. Have y'all ever said that?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it because there's somebody listening that's like, wow, I kind of felt like my mate may have some other issues, but I don't know how to address it. I don't know if that's really something. Who would want to jump on that borderline personality disorder diagnosis? Who wants to talk about it right quick? Take it.
Nobody move, yo. What? Come on.
Take it. Go ahead.
One has to be careful of labels, though. I mean, there are several personality disorders, narcissistic. We're seeing a lot of that recently.
Who are you talking about?
But, borderline is a term that it shows that a person is having really unstable interpersonal skills, let's say. And they're on the border. Originally, it was on the border of almost psychosis, where they were almost, quote unquote, hearing voices, possibly just distortion of reality.
Distortion of reality.
And a lot of it is, it gets stigmatized as a type of person you don't want to work with.
Yeah.
It's more common in women, but I think it's just as common in men. We just don't diagnose it in men. We call it something else. But it's again, I hate to use labels in the office. So when people come in to me, I say that's important for the insurance, but to relate to you, I just need to find out what's going on. But it is a diagnosis, and personally, I like to work with them. I mean, I think you got to be real firm with them. There's certain things that you have to do. The boundary issues with them, but you know, they can come on a psychiatric unit and disrupt the whole unit in 2 days.
And
Come on, this.
and I was gonna go all the way back to childhood. I think one thing that we do not teach our children is how to be in relationship with the opposite sex, or even as it relates to friendships. I think we are not teaching that in the home. So then people grow up with already they don't have a good tool bank. They don't have things to pull out of their tool bank as it relates to relating to other people. So then when you tie in a mental health issue, if you don't even know how to communicate, let's start there. If you were not taught to communicate, how do you communicate with an adult person that didn't learn it either and has a mental health issue? So it's already, it's doomed. It's doomed because you can't even talk about it.
It gets so deep.
Yeah.
Kenny?
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, I heard a wise man say that emotions are just energy that's in motion. You take exactly what you just said and you give someone the ability to express those in a manner that they feel is the best way for them. And it's a recipe for disaster.
All right, then. Hopefully you're not cooking up these disasters and you're seeing some mental health professionals, or you're thinking about it. Hopefully this conversation has helped you to start thinking about how important it is, because it's really important. We want to have a new generation, or introduce generations to something different, a better way of living. And I think it starts with conversations like this and putting these conversations into action. So we really made it through our list. We didn't get as deep as we could have, but let's go really quickly. We got 2 minutes. Advocacy, legal and ethical considerations, what people should do and what they should know. I'll start by saying taking care of yourself mentally. You go to the doctor for things like a migraine, or a repeat stomach ache, or things that you feel and things that you notice. If you notice some things about yourself emotionally or mentally, maybe you should go to the doctor for those things as well. And I can't say that I'm a doctor, but I say that I can listen and we can talk through it, because I've done it and it helps to talk through it. Next. What would you say to the people? Or what type of advocacy?
I would say, again, take care of yourself. I know KRS-One talked about actually prosperity is not just money. It's actually your health. It's actually, everything. Your mental health, your physical health. There's a study that shows that exercise works as well as Prozac.
All right. So just get up and do
Regularly
something.
exercise 30 minutes a day, for, just on a treadmill or bicycle. It actually compares to an antidepressant. So I would just say seek out, there's certainly the times when you need to see a professional, but there's also times where a lot of this is self-care.
All right, self-care. That's me, like 2 seconds, and then we're going to give the final details.
I will say be honest. That is my thing. People who know me, I'm an open book. Let's talk about everything. If you're going through something, say it and be okay with owning it. That's what I think we need more of across the board. Transparency.
Wonderful. So we took a poll in studio, and we decided that this is vital and that you all should get more of this way, so that you can feel comfortable and we can feel comfortable every 5th Sunday right here on Vital Show. Whenever the next 5th Sunday is, when is that? We don't know, because we didn't look at a calendar. We just said, all we said was, we'll do it. So every 5th Sunday right here on 95.7 Jams at the Vital Show, we will be talking about mental health. Mental health overall, different components of things that are a part of mental health. Next time, I already know we want to talk about grief and how to deal with it, how to communicate during grief, what may consist of a grief disorder, different things of that nature, because a lot of people are going through a lot of things and we got to talk about it. So we're going to save that for the next 5th Sunday. We'll find out when it is. October. Probably around classic time. That'll be a great time. All right. Thank you all for coming and sharing your self-care time with us. And we hope to talk to you again soon. Listening audience, I hope you learned something. You can look at my social media, follow Vital Show, and get their contact information. Post your comments there. All of the comments that you submitted tonight, we will discuss on next month or month after next show. Have a wonderful week. Bye.
Jimmy Big Mommy New York, and if you're tired of struggling to make it through your work,
all right, Facebook. Hold on 1 second. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that. Look at that. Got to get that headphone here back fixed. So that these are our guests. Say your names one time.
Jacques Austin.
Jacques Austin. All right.
Speak to live. Speak to the people. Speak to the people.
Who we got right here?
Hey, Nadia Richardson. Hey,
I'm Destiny Love.
Chanel Bazell Barnett.
Latrice Daly.
All right, let me come around. Hold on. Because I want them to see who they were listening to.
Artie Nelson.
I'm Bree Carr.
And...
I think she already said it.
Latrice again.
Okay. Now, y'all know us. So the contact information for all of our guests tonight will be posted on the Vital Show page, hopefully by the end of the night. Hopefully you got something great from this conversation. You'll share it. You'll make sure that you come back every Sunday. But for this particular topic, particularly on the 5th Sunday, which will be October, probably like the 30th, maybe. What that is? The
29th.
The 29th.
Did I make it up?
Halloween.
The
I
29th.
said the wolf coming out.
I feel like it's the 29th.
So yeah, the 29th of October, you can come back for it is Classic Weekend. Hopefully you all will not be so hungover that you don't want to get this mental health. Okay. So yeah, be back here for that. Next Sunday, I don't remember what we had, but all of your comments though, we will definitely be addressing your comments and your suggestions and your ideas about mental health. Thank you so much for tuning in on the radio, and thank you for tuning in right here on Facebook Live. You all have a good night.